Greetings, fellow classic TV fans, and welcome to Retro TV Radio. I'm your host, Pat McCormack. On today's show, my special guest is the multi-talented Diane Franklin. Truly one of the most iconic, trend-setting actors of the 80s, Diane has graced both the large and small screens. Although she'd made many appearances in TV commercials as well as some classic TV series, perhaps she is best remembered as the curly-haired movie babe of the hipster 80s teen era. We discuss her film work and learn some fascinating tidbits along the way. Some of my favorite parts of this conversation regard her role as Princess Elizabeth in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. We also talk about some of her musical experiences and her 3 autobiographical books, which, by the way, you'll find perfectly titled. Enjoy! Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast the lovely and talented actress, by the way, whose smile could light up a city, Diane Franklin. Hello, Diane.
Well, hello. That was quite a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
I speak only the truth.
Oh, thank you for having me on your show, Pat. Really, really lovely to be here.
Well, appreciate that. As an 80s kid, it's a thrill for me. I mean, there you were. You were there with us. The trendsetter. A great actress, all of the above. And we have some ground to cover because, well, I was just so much a part of that era and loved all your work. I would love to say I saw every movie you were in. I'm kind of shy there, but I'm going to catch up. And I wanted to first share a quote made about you from a friend of mine and maybe see if you might guess who it is. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I'm excited. Who is this?
All right. Well, I'll let you try to guess initially, and then I'll give you some hints, and then I'll just give it away.
Okay.
Here's your first hint. He said...
Oh, okay.
An actor. That's the second hint. And Diane and I worked together on Finder of Lost Loves. She's a solid actress and a real joy to work with. Spelling was great to work for as you got inserted into a bunch of shows. Great times.
Oh my gosh.
Is that too vague?
No, I know. I'm visualizing 2 people.
Ooh.
And I know those. I'm just trying to remember their names. I think, is the actor named Anthony? No.
I'll give you another hint.
I see their faces, but I don't know what their name is. I'm blanking. Okay, go ahead.
I'm guessing you got the right face because he was a face for sure.
He's the lead of the show, right?
No.
Or was it the actor that played my husband?
Now that could be because I don't know what episode he's referring to, but...
Okay. Is he around my age?
Yes. He's around our age.
Okay, yes, our age, yes. Then he is the actor who played my boyfriend on the show. My guess
I will go with that because he usually does play a boyfriend. As a matter of fact, he played Jennifer Aniston's boyfriend in a classic horror film.
Oh, no.
There's another one. Okay, here's another one.
Okay, and by the way, and she, I think, we may be a little, I think I'm born the same day as Jennifer Aniston. I think we have the exact same birthday, I think, which is bizarre, I think. I know we have the same day, but I think we might even have the same year. But anyway, that's a whole other story. Keep going.
Well,
that's a whole other story.
I'm not going to drag you over the coals on this for sure. I'll give you one more. The movie was Leprechaun.
Okay. Oh, yeah. No, I know who this is.
Okay.
I cannot get... Okay, wait. What is his... Oh.
I will joke with him later and say, you really do have a forgettable name.
No, this is... Ken. Is it Ken Olin?
You got it.
Ken Olin.
It's Olant.
Olant. Okay, sorry. So Ken Olin. There's a Ken Olin. Ken Olin, of course. That's very nice of him to say.
Aww,
oh my gosh.
I thought you'd like
so
that.
Sweet. Thank you. I do like it. Very nice.
Well, and I'll tell you
we had a baby together on the show. We had a baby. We had, we were going to give it up. I think we kept it. I don't know. It was a whole thing, right?
Oh, well, ironically, today, my podcast comes out on Fridays, and today is his interview. So he just dropped, and we have become.
Good luck.
Oh, I'm sure you'll love to hear your voice. We've become good friends. You got to make new friends. I've had people tell me, Marta Kristen, as a matter of fact, last week said, you've got to constantly make new friends. It's just what...
Yeah. And you know what everybody appreciates, that every generation appreciates information from the other generation, and just it's just important, and it is important to make new friends too, because also you don't know how much you know until you see someone else, and then you go, oh yeah, I did do all that, or oh wow, that person knows somebody I know. You never know. It's just an interesting world.
Well, I mentioned to him that I was going to interview you, and he just came out with that. It was just like, oh, I love working with her. And I thought, that's so sweet. I thought I'd just put you through the ringer to try to guess. And by the way, when you said Oland, you were partially correct. You get extra points for that, Diane, because there's a D in that name, Oland.
Yeah.
With a T.
Oland.
You don't hear it, though. Yeah. It's Oland. And I'm like, well, who threw a D in there, Ken? And what was the idea? Why can't it be simple like Franklin? Come on.
Right? Yeah. Easy to spell. No problem with that. Yeah. I never had to spell my name growing up, which is shocking but I do, strangely, have to spell. I've had many occasions spelling Diane because a lot of people would put two N's. And I couldn't figure out why someone would make the extra effort. And then it hit me. The name Diane may sound like the name, like it's a derivative maybe of Anne. And we use two N's for Anne. So I thought, maybe that's where people write Dianne, but it's one N, but still interesting. Oops.
Yes. Well, and of course, I do put transcripts of stuff down, and it's like, oh, do not misspell the names. That's a big no-no. I can misspell, and my grammar is just horrific, but the spelling of names cannot be screwed up. It's that's respect, especially as an actor or actress. That's your brand.
Yeah.
Your name is your brand, and got to have respect for that. I would not try to guess how to spell Diane, even though if I had been put on the spot, I would have got it right. So.
Okay, I like it. Thank you. Point back on you.
So we were both kids of the greatest decade of all. And I just got to say it was the 80s, kids. I'm sorry. Those boomers of the 80s, we had just more fun than anybody. And I'm sorry. It's just true.
We were very fortunate. We came at a time where having fun and lightness was popular. It was not, in everything that happened in life, it was kind of looked onto as a fun, upbeat time. It was in history, and not that saying obviously politically and socially, whatever is going on, but in entertainment, it was a very upbeat, fun time. And it focused on teenagers, which was prior to that, like all the films were, more about adult stories. But when the 80s hit, we had the time of teen films, and it focused on teens going through stories like as if they were adults, which was really interesting too. At the time, teenagers were portrayed as little adults who had to deal with, it wasn't like they were children, it was like they had to deal with big issues like, but their parents weren't taking care of them for it. They were on their own. You have to deal with divorce. The kids have to deal with the divorce. They have to deal with their drinking. They had to deal with drugs. They had to deal with falling in love, getting pregnant, if abortion at the time being very popular. In the social media, there was just a lot that we had to that kids were, the storylines were focused on, and even looking back, I look back and go, wow, like there was a maturity that was expected in a way, and of that generation, and therefore it reflected in the films.
Right. Yeah, seemingly the writers, kept everything as that genre we're talking about in present times. It wasn't like Summer of 42 or American Graffiti, where they would try to capture the good old days, or, move around in eras, even Indiana.
That's exactly right. It was the present, which was the 80s, yeah.
So it was good material.
Yes, and good music, because it was the first time people started using music from the radio in a film.
Right.
Which was amazing. The soundtracks were phenomenal.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
the best. I will go as far as to say. Now, it's not to say that I don't have a great appreciation for the classic and some of the classic themes, which, are just, I'm a big fan of that stuff. As a musician, I appreciate it. Even the television shows had great themes. And of course, that's pre-'80s for me, even pre-'70s, the '60s. The themes were just over the top good, and the '50s for that matter. Just they put a lot of effort into that. It meant something.
Yeah, they did.
Whereas, come and knock on my door. It's like, okay, no. People are like, aren't you a Golden Girls fan? I said, I would love to be if I could have just gotten past that opening theme song. I just couldn't do it.
That is so funny. Yeah, that was another thing, right? It was a different world musically, too. Wow.
Yeah. Well, here's another interesting aspect. You were literally, of the era, a trendsetter. And you know where I'm going with that, right?
I do. I'll say that. Yes.
The hair exploitation.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know, people, I know this, I wrote a book about it. My second book focuses on the film that I'd been in the entertainment business for basically 10 years, and was always straightening my hair. And the one film I did, it was called The Last American Virgin. That film, the audition came and it caught me by surprise. And when I got the film, it caught me by surprise so much so that I let my hair go naturally curly. And all of a sudden, I'm cast as the lead of this film. And, for years, nothing was happening before. And all of a sudden, everybody wanted me to have my curly hair. And I was getting lead after lead. And I mean, there's a lot, obviously I was able to, I had 10 years to get ready for that moment, which was wonderful. And I was prepared. But my second book talks about this, because what happened was, for me, I was auditioning and everything was always straight blonde hair that represented American style. And, fashion changes, obviously, and every decade there's a different look and a different feel. And but the thing that was fascinating to me was I was sort of caught in that transition, because I was there right when the 80s started. And all of a sudden, this film came out, and literally everybody had curly hair. All of a sudden, I was looking for, where is this curly haired, where curly haired people? They were always like Lucille Ball, or they were, Bernadette Peters. They were adults, and it was comedy. But no, you would never be caught dead as a teenager with curly hair. It was the pariah. It was you were the girl who was the best friend, or the weirdo, or like that. You were not the pretty girl. And in Last American Virgin, I portrayed this supposed dream girl, this guy who's in love with the minute he saw me. So that look then was really important to the film. And when somebody looks at you, like in The Sure Thing, Nicolette Sheridan was that idea, or even Bo Derek in 10, you had to look at the girl and go, oh my gosh, wow. So with that curly hair, all of a sudden people were getting perms, and I was shocked. I was like, what is happening? How could people want to do this to their hair? Who has created this? And it's just so funny, because I've had people come up to me and go, oh my gosh, I tried to get a perm then, or my mom did, or even guys I got a perm because of you. And I was like, oh my gosh. So yes, it's true. And again, the only other actress that I was looking for it too. I was looking for who's my role model with curly hair. It was only Amy Irving.
Oh, sure.
It didn't hit with Amy Irving. They did Carrie. And she was not the lead girl, and she was portrayed as the bad girl. So it wasn't even then that she was beautiful, and they did a great job, shooting her. But it wasn't even then. She was probably she gave one step into the direction of well, I'm going to say ethnic beauty, which is because now a dark curling hair was considered could be an American style. And I thought that was, so anyway, I wrote a book about it, but it's just fascinating to me thank you for bringing it up.
Well, I had to because, first of all, I love the titles of your books.
Oh, thank you.
The encapsulation of a career in a title.
Yes. Oh, so by the way, for the audience who doesn't know, I have 3 books. You're probably seeing the first, my first book cover. First one is If You Don't Know Anything About Me, that's the book to get. It's The Excellent Adventure. I'll say the title. Diane Franklin, The Excellent Adventure of the Last American French Exchange Babe of the 80s. Okay. So
Thank you.
Again, in case there's no way you can do it. I can say it much faster. But the first book is If You Don't Know Anything About Me, who is this 80s actress? That is the book to get. And also, if you are interested in acting, if you love the 80s, it'll take you back in time. It is a coffee table book, and it is magical. It's just awesome. People love this book. The second book is about is The Excellent Curls of the Last American French Exchange Babe of the 80s. And my newest book is about Better Off Dead, which is a comedy.
Right.
And that was with John Cusack. And that's called The Excellent Comedy of the Last American French Exchange Babe of the 80s. But you will see on the covers of the book will probably explain more. So there you go.
Well, there are 3 wonderful examples of how cool your hair can look when it's curly. I mean, that's the covers.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. All different versions of curly. And I got to say, people, who have curly hair, people they're still going through it. I mean, I like to straighten my hair just for making it look different and sometimes for different roles, and it's totally fun. But I think we should all be able to just walk out of the house and just wear the hair we are and, get it to match our face the best, whether it's long or short or whatever. We should be able to be who we are and not be considered, scary or oh no.
Well, yeah, I don't think you could have done that if you tried. But with that said,
right?
Yeah, I mean, I tried a perm. It kind of went over. Not really, but
not really. It
was a one and done for me.
Yeah. You did try it. You got to try it.
But see, even you influenced me, Diane. Yes, me.
Now that is pretty amazing. I'm pretty impressed. You impressed me now, Pat.
Well, good. Oh, well, my work is done here. We can end this. End this on that note. No. My gosh, we haven't even scratched the surface, but I do. This is Retro TV Radio. That's the title of my podcast. It's part of my broader brand. I call it the Golden Rage of TV. And I know you had some appearances on some great classic TV shows, specifically Charles in Charge, Murder, She Wrote, the new Alfred Hitchcock presents Matlock, Freddy's Nightmares. Now, that one makes sense, but right. I'm kind of curious. Of those classic TV shows, what was your fondest memory?
Okay. I have to say, all right, it's a tie because I really loved working on Charles in Charge, but I also loved working on Murder, She Wrote. And the reason why it's a tie is, okay, so I loved the character that I played on Charles in Charge. It was so fun. And there was even a whisper of me continuing to be on the show, which I thought would have been really fun. But I just loved that character. I thought it was really funny, and it got a chance for me to really show my comic chops.
Right.
And it was very fun. And Scott Baio was fine, and it was fun to work with. And Ken Mars was wonderful to work with because he was in the producers. So it was an honor to work with him. And I play Yugoslavian girl. I talk like this, and very good for me to talk like this was fun. And I played the girl who was crazy about this Scott Baio character. Charles. So and he and in the story, if you don't know, the idea was that he went on the worst date ever. Which means that he asked me out on a date, but I had to bring my family with me. And so so that's perhaps the worst date ever. You can think of that. And then the other project, the other show that I worked on was Murder, She Wrote, and loved working in the same space as in the same area with Angela Lansbury. I mean, that was such a wonderful experience. And although we didn't have scenes to do together, we were in the same. She watches me in the scene, and I play this terribly rich, spoiled brat. Mm-hmm. And I had never played a character like that before, so I just had a blast playing that, and it was very fun. And it also showed, gave me more range. The other thing is that was the first role I ever was offered. That role, people just, like in the business, people, a lot of times because for me, I can play so many different characters. You do need to audition. You need to show people how you see the character. So that was the first role I'd ever been offered. And I was flabbergasted. I was like, it was funny. I remember thinking, wait, they don't even know what I'm going to do. And they just want me to do it. And wait, I mean, what do I want to do? I was kind of in the moment. So it was very freeing because I kind of okay, I'm just going to bring it. And, if they have a problem, they can just tell me what they need. So it was wonderful. It was really fun.
You could always say, well, you wanted me.
Yeah, you picked it. But I will tell you about one funny thing in that vein. I had once there was a show called Aftermath. And they hired me to play the character Klinger's girlfriend, who is played by Jamie Farr, I think.
Right, of course, yes.
And I went through a couple of auditions, and I got the part, and I showed up on set, and they all looked at me when I walked in. I mean, literally, we're about to shoot a scene. I'm walking in to change my clothes, get makeup and all that stuff. And they come over to me and they say, you're going to have to go home. And I'm like, what is happening? Wait, what? And I looked too young.
Well, yes.
Yes.
I was going to say, I'm like, wait a minute. Jamie's no spring chicken, and you still are. So wait a minute.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I mean, age-wise, I was old enough, but I didn't look it. It was pretty funny. So I was like, okay, guess that one's done. But it was a shame because they wanted me as a regular, but couldn't cut it. So anyway, so that's my some television stories there.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you cleared it up before I was going to ask you. I was going to say, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Jamie Farr's girlfriend? No,
yep.
No. You're too young for that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, right? That's good for Jamie.
But, everybody likes to work. So, and there's things called makeup and all of that. And
yeah.
So, well, that's fantastic. Great stories. Then there was this other thing, this film that I really loved in the 80s. And yes, of course, you were in it. Here's the funny thing. That movie is so full, and I'm going to tell you in a second. Don't worry, I won't make you guess this one either, Diane.
Okay.
Because you'll know instantly. But it was so full of catchphrases. I mean, just catchphrase. Why is it, in my mind, the one line that when I think of that movie is, I am Ted of San Dimas. That's the one that I always think of. I've even used it. I've said, I am Pat of Santa Cruz. Jokingly, because that's the one that stuck in my head. And I just
aww.
Now I know you were the princess in that film. And I'm thinking, did he say that to you or to your friend that was also with you? And I just looked back at it and I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Oh, it was such a beautiful film. The film is called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, and I played Princess Elizabeth. So I talked with an English dialect, and so we were in the original Bill and Ted. So I was the dark-haired one, and Kimberly Cates was the redhead, and we shot that scene that you're talking about in Rome, Italy, and it was supposed to be England, but we shot it in Rome. And, I asked, Keanu, slash Ted, what is this message you speak of? And he says, I am Ted of San Dimas, and I bring a message of love,
Hello, royal ugly dudes. I mean, there's so many memorable, like I was saying, these catchphrases. But that's the one that when I think of that movie, I am Ted. And I'm thinking, I'm from California. I would have said it exactly the same way.
You just said, I am Pat.
From Santa Cruz.
Right. There you go.
The other irony of me being from Santa Cruz is, of course, Alex was an original Lost Boy.
Yes.
Which was filmed in my hometown, and I actually have
but how exciting that film shot there. That's very cool.
It was. I mean, just seeing them doing it and meeting Schumacher. I mean, that was because we were up for parts, and he looked at everybody. And,
that's really great. Yeah, they did at that time. Directors looked at everybody.
Yeah.
They looked all around, and I might even have auditioned for it. I'm not even sure. I look sometimes at my old acting books, and I go, "Oh my gosh!" Like I had a callback for, what is it called? Oh my gosh, there was Flashdance.
Oh,
yeah, like whoa! Or it was between myself and two other and Elizabeth. Lisa Shue and another girl for what is it? I had a third callback for Karate Kid.
That would have been good too.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, with those films, when you're shooting them, do you know? It's just like with television shows. Do you know at the time Bill and Ted is going to be a classic, or The Lost Boys is going to be a classic? We watched them filming it, and it was like, well, they've got some money. They're putting some money into this. This is cool. I sat on one of the motorcycles, too. That was pretty fun. But
yeah, oh, nice.
It was still 2 years. I mean, he really spent a lot of time in post on that thing. And it came out. And, we went thinking, well, this would be kind of a cult classic, something or other. Or just a cult. Or this is going to be a low-budget piece of crap.
Right. Well, that the thing that is interesting is at that time in the 80s, when you did a film, first of all, you didn't even know if it was going to get produced. Nowadays, most things get somewhere. They went on YouTube, or they get something happens to them because there's so much, people can do it themselves. It wasn't like you had to get the right connections to make something happen.
Right.
But the other thing with these films were, there were films that had a lot more substance, but because there wasn't so much content out there, the films with substance wound up getting money because they were being critiqued, and people were like saving their money to go see one or two films. They weren't watching everything. But the thing that happened with the 80s films is that when we got VHS, everybody started watching them. And now the audience got to select what they wanted. So an audience member would be like, oh my gosh, I worked all week. I'm so tired. I do not want to watch something heavy duty that's like really, mind bending. I want to watch something silly and fun and relaxing or romantic. I just want to relax. And so a lot of the films that I did were very successful in the college years for kids. It really made a big splash there because kids were they wanted a date movie. They wanted a fun, upbeat movie. So it was fascinating that a lot of these films, that came out in the 80s, had an audience that was built on their choice rather than just like the critics deciding. Does that make sense? Like you would go and say, well, yeah, the critics say this, but what do I say? I want to see it. I want to decide for myself. So Bill and Ted's, when we did it, we didn't have any idea that it was going to be as successful, but we did love it and think it was fun because, like everyone else, we wanted to see fun things too. We were like, oh, a movie that's really, like an upbeat, fun, adventure, without being, exploitive.
Right.
It's just really, it was a pleasure for all the actors to work on.
Well, yeah. And of course, you were part of the springboard for that Keanu guy. I mean, he did some things
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I wonder what he's doing now. I wonder where he's at. I wonder.
Sitting in a mansion somewhere riding a motorcycle. I think he's probably riding a motorcycle at this very moment.
That's true, probably. What I have to say is I always say that Bill and Ted's, I was the luckiest actress to work with him because I got to work on a fun comedy, and he was the lightest and the most fun character.
Yes.
That I think, I feel like the young Keanu got to play the light moments. And so I was very fortunate to be able to work with him with that.
Right. Yeah, we were thinking he's having a hard time breaking out of the Ted role in Dracula and what was it, Speed? Are you sure you can handle this thing, Mom?
Right. Right.
It's like, it's Ted. Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's Ted. It's true. But I will say, I did have the hard, arduous task of having to kiss him in the film, and I have to tell you, it's very important to get it right, so you have to do it over and over again.
I'm so sorry.
Just remember, yeah, I know, it's really hard. So.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry for me because I wish I was him. Oh no. No. How about George Carlin? Did he ever try to kiss you? That's the question.
No, but George is a gentleman. George is the sweetest man ever. Shockingly, I expected this foul-mouthed, loud, bigger than life personality because I'd seen his stand-up.
Yes.
And he was the most genteel, well-spoken, mannered, lovely man. In fact, we all were shocked. I mean, Keanu and Alex and, Kimberly, we were all shocked that he was so...
classy.
Classy is the right word, really. Even his tone of his voice was soft spoken, shocking, but lovely. I mean, a wonderful surprise. It showed he was a consummate professional. It showed that his stand-up was his persona.
Right. Well, he was a genius. I mean,
yeah.
I've just recently found out, I'm doing some research on Gary Shandling, and he was the one that started it for him. I mean, he basically encouraged Gary Shandling to pursue comedy, and
that's wonderful. That's great to hear.
Yeah, so it was that kind of guy where he would give back or help up and comers, and so it just matches what you're saying.
Yeah,
sweet guy with class.
Yeah,
I'll go with that. So, Diane, singing, you sing too.
Oh, you're so fun. Thank you for mentioning this.
Here's how I know.
Yeah. All right. Go for it.
I once did the national anthem for the Warriors. Now, I'm going to say it's the Warriors D-League, which is in Santa Cruz, but still part of the franchise. That was one of the biggest thrills. Opening day. Oh, my gosh. And I got to just play my guitar, and it was a high point for me. And then, of course, there's doing it at Dodger Stadium, which I never did. But you did.
Yes, I did. And also, national anthem at Dodger Stadium, highlight of my life. Definitely a highlight. I will say the fascinating part about the experience was that when this is just a funny story. Are you ready for the story?
Please.
Okay. All right. So I've always sung since I was a kid, loved to sing, but I never had a loud voice or a rock and roll voice. So I studied operatic singing, and I did it for years. And I even did competitions there's a thing called NISMA in New York, and so you get rated on your singing. And so I was very conscientious about it because I loved singing, but I never was going to be an opera singer, but I just learned how to sing that way. So what happened was I was at Dodger Stadium with my husband, and we were watching a game, and they had this giant Tron up, and on the Tron they were showing 80s films. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. They should show Better Off Dead. We shot here at Dodger Stadium. That's like a no-brainer. I mean, it just would be beautiful kismet for that. So I had a manager at the time, and I said, well, call them and ask them if they ever show movies and do that kind of thing, or they show clips, and I tell them they should show Better Off Dead. And if they wanted to, I'd come and I'd do some signings for them if they wanted. So he calls them and he calls me back and he says, well, they don't do signings, but they do want to know if you'd like to sing the national anthem.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, and then my thought was, oh my gosh, that's terrifying. And at the same time, yes,
it is.
I mean, yes, you're going to ask. I will. And I've often been the kind of person who, when I'm afraid of something, I walk into the fear rather than out of the fear. And that doesn't mean I'm not an ego person, but I am somebody who loves challenges, and I will go. I don't want to be afraid of something. I want to go towards it. So I said, okay, yes, which was fascinating to me because I thought they would want to hear me sing. So then I thought, okay, well, they must get the idea of Better Off Dead. So, all right, fine. Well, the next thing I know, they said to me, well, would you like to sing the French anthem or the American anthem? And they said, they said to me, actually, we're not sure. We're either going to have you sing the French anthem or the American anthem. And I thought, I don't know if I can sing the French anthem. It wasn't about singing. It was like emotionally. I felt like that's not my country. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, here's some irony.
Yeah.
The day that I was to do the opening day ceremonies, that day is when that mass shooting terrorist attack in France happened.
I know exactly when that was. I know it. Yes, I totally remember that.
And I'm thinking, okay, I'm playing to a backing track that I've produced. Is there a way that I could get away with just playing 1 or 2 bars of the French national anthem?
Oh, wow. You went the other way. Look at that. Oh,
well,
man.
I thought it would be really, it would be poignant, emotional.
Yeah.
And it was like, na, 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 na. I know it in my head, but being spontaneous in front of a couple thousand people was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, well, and then it was a tough time that time. Well, in this case, luckily they said to me, no, we want you to sing the American anthem, which was fine. I mean, I would have been open to it, and I would have sung it in French or whatever, or with the French dialect, whatever they wanted. But they said American anthem, so that was great. And what was really wonderful is, obviously, I worked on my singing, to prep for months, and but I also, as an actor, had the advantage because I thought, wow, there's all these people. I have to use my acting skills to help me relax, because obviously when you sing, it's not just how you sound in your voice. You must relax, and acting skills help a lot with that. So I practiced relaxing and in a heartbeat, like, when you just in 1 second, can you relax your entire body in a second and stay focused? So it comes to the time where I'm supposed to sing the national anthem, and it was wonderful. They picked me up in a limo. We got to the place. My family got really great seats behind home plate, and I go to, they say, okay, we're going to bring you up to where the woman who plays the organ is, which was all the way at the top where all the cameras are that look down at the games. And, all the reporters are like having a cup of soup and like having coffee, and they're just like on their like lunch, like their dinner break before the game starts. And I come up there and I'm supposed to sing the national anthem in front of all these people who are just hanging out. Like, it would be like you're in the cafeteria and people are just hanging out in the cafeteria. And now you have to sing the national anthem with someone playing it on the organ. And they said to me, okay, we're going to give you, we're going to play it. And if we like it, we'll mic you up and you'll go down. And if we don't, then we're going to just play the anthem regular. So the woman's beautiful organist. I forgot what her name is right now, but she was fantastic, incredible, gifted musician. She played the song, and I start to sing, and all of a sudden they say, okay, mic her up. They didn't even let me get through the whole song. What they did was they wanted to see if I was being respectful.
Right.
Because prior to that, I guess Roseanne was not respectful to the national anthem years before, and ever since then, I think they were a little bit careful on that one. So I went down and I look at the audience, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like, this is going to be amazing. The camera is like a foot away from my face. I'm on home plate. I'm starting to sing. And the entire audience in front of me. Oh, and then by the way, Tom Hanks was there that night with someone else. And I was just like, wow, that's a little pressure there. Like I was so excited. I was, keep that acting technique, keep it down, keep it, focused. So I go to start to sing, and all the people who are in front of me in the audience are not looking at me. They're looking past me. So I'm thinking, I must be bad. I'm just going to keep singing because they're not paying attention to me. So they're looking at something else. So I start to relax and sing, and I'm just enjoying myself, and I'm visualizing. I'm just doing this whole wonderful thing. And when I'm done, I find out, oh my goodness, they were looking at me on the Tron.
Right.
And I had no idea. I was like, oh, okay. So, but the other thing too is I thought they were going to announce me as Diane Franklin from Better Off Dead, because that's what we shot on the Dodger Stadium. And they announced me as Diane Franklin. And I thought, who knows Diane Franklin? Nobody knows Diane Franklin. I mean, so it was very funny for me, that whole experience. But I really appreciate you bringing it up, because it was a gift. Singing in front of that many people and singing the national anthem is a gift.
Yes.
It really is.
Do you happen to have that footage? Is it posted on YouTube or anything?
I do have the footage. I was told not to post it because they were they're very concerned about,
branding.
Branding, I guess, branding me with whatever. They're always careful about that. But at the same time, I think there is a little clip that is out there, just a little part of it that has been out there, and I don't know where it is, but I think it is out a little bit. And but speaking of singing, did you hear that I have a new song?
I want to hear about that. And by the way, I would have said, if I didn't know you were a singer, just in talking to you just now, my ears, what's left of them, would have said, Diane, you really ought to start singing.
Oh, thank you.
You have a beautiful voice, just in your speaking voice.
Thank you. I never felt that way, but and I think a lot of people also are very self-conscious about speaking voices. It took me a while to get more confident, and then people started saying, "I really like the sound of your voice,"
yes.
and I thought, oh, now that made me feel even more confident. So I will tell you this, people, if there's someone who has a nice voice, please tell them, because it will make them feel braver and more confident to speak up. So that's just a side note there.
Well, it's true. It's confidence. Confidence is everything. And like you said, having the acting training is very... it was an instrumental rock guitar version. So fortunately, I didn't...
That's fun.
Oh, it was. And I didn't have to sing it, but didn't mean that I wasn't terrified. I mean, center court, right? It's like, okay.
No, and that's it. And what's the first thing to go? Your voice. If you're scared, you got to relax your vocal cords and, stay in the zone. You got to stay into what you're doing, do is what the actors, advice is, just do, and then if you're really singing and you're really doing it, it'll flow. You can't be an audience and a performer at the same time. You have to choose. So if you're the performer, focus on that. If you're the audience, just focus on what's going on in front of you. So, but here's the funny part. I wrote my third book, The Excellent Comedy. And I thought, well, most people, when they put a book out, that's it. They don't do the promotion is maybe an interview, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to give a gift of even more in this promotion, because there's a lot of people who will not know what Better Off Dead is and the comedy. And so I thought, I'm going to write a little song. And originally it was like a promotion, but then I thought, and I work with kids, and I teach. So I was like, okay, maybe I can give some of these kids an opportunity to perform. And then I also felt like it was I wanted to make a stronger message. With the pandemic, everyone's sort of inside and being like closed off. And I thought, we can have fun even if we're not completely open up. And so I thought of this song, and I call it the Coat Song, and you can see it on YouTube. It's on Spotify. I made a music video. Go to YouTube and look up the Coat Song, Diane Franklin. And there's other places to see it. But what's funny about the song is that if you know Better Off Dead, the coat is the coat that I wore in the film, the actual coat. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I have other people in the video wearing the coat and dancing. And I told all the other people who were dancing in it, the young people, I said, I want you to dance in your own style, like because I want this to be a reflection of you just being you. And it was amazing to see all the talent, and it was phenomenal. And for me, I, as you as a musician can appreciate this, I thought, if you're going to do something, you can't ask other people to do things or to know what your idea and your vision is. So I composed it. I wrote the melody. I composed the lyrics, and I didn't record it. I had someone record it, but I really thought, it was just a really wonderful effort, and I knew that I wanted it to have an 80s feel. So that I think you're going to enjoy, because if you love the 80s, you're going to really like this song. It's very catchy. It's a smile, it'll bring a smile to your face, guys. So.
And I'll be like, she should be a singer. I'll feel all good about myself. And
and by the way, the singing I do is, again, like, this is not my forte, this kind of singing, but I was like, okay, the feeling is more important. So yeah, you'll hear it. But anyway, so yeah, who knows what singing things will happen in the future, but I really loved it. It was really a fun experience to do. Yeah.
Well, you're a complete entertainer, even in your look. You got it all.
I do sing, and I also dance too. So I used to do ballet, and but I was in musicals when I was younger. So I just didn't take that path. And I think that, I was talking to other actresses about it. Like, there's an actress named Heather Langenkamp, and she was in Friday the 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street. She was the main actress in that. And I said to her, Heather, I said, you're a beautiful girl, and you could have done anything, but the horror genre got you. Like, that director saw his vision for his work in you. And so that was the work path she wound up taking. But that doesn't mean like she couldn't have done, serious drama, or she couldn't have done comedy, or she couldn't have done other things. It's just, when you're an actor, you do what you do. And the only way people know what you can do is by showing people what you can do. So even an example, like even the fact that I did this music video, people didn't know until I showed them. And I thought, you don't have to get paid for everything you create. In fact, that's kind of sometimes a deterrent of creation. You want to create because it's a joy, and it's innovative. And when people see what you do, then maybe it gets them thinking, let's have this person involved in this. But you can't tell people, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer. That does nothing. I'm an actor, right? You have to show it.
Yeah, I'm an entertainer. How's that?
And show, don't tell. Show your entertainment. That's why they'll tell actors, keep doing theater and keep doing film, and, do, short films and do things, because people don't know until you do it. Yeah, it's true. So get out there, people.
Yeah, and face your fears, or else you'll regret it, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
That's it. If you don't charge into those fears, you're going to regret it.
Yeah, why? Imagine if I said no to the national anthem. I'm sorry that, singing great or not, I'm so happy I did it, And people came up to me and they said, oh my gosh, we loved you singing the anthem like that. And we hardly ever hear it like that. That's so pretty. So, so go for it. You can do it, like Monique Janot says. Kick ass.
I have to reassemble myself every time you go into a dialect, because it's just like...
Oh, that's so sweet.
Talk Russian to me. Wait a minute, not Russian. French. Well,
we listen. If you listen to Better Off Dead, you will meet like this. But I hope the audience will remember that you are never better off dead. You are always alive. Very important.
Well, you've been so generous with your time with me today, and I want to ask you one last question. If it comes to genres, now, most of the actors that I talk to are like, well, there's nothing better than theater comedy.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that makes sense. Believe me, I had it explained to me a million ways. It's like, yeah, I get that. When it comes to styles like comedy, drama, of course, with European endings. I heard you say that once. And
horror.
Yes.
Sci-fi.
Wasn't I just talking about horror? Duh.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
I would say, I am interested in, like, say, doing something like, this is interesting. I would say drama, but even in the sense that drama could be sci-fi. And why I'm saying that is because all sci-fi is really serious drama. It's just with a lot of makeup. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And so it's futuristic. I haven't done any, like, I would love to do sort of a Star Wars kind of a thing, something along the lines of sci-fi, because I think it would be really, it's an experience I never had. Like, I didn't go that direction. Closest I did was an Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which took place in the future. And I played a secretary from New York from the future. And I was talking like this, and it was very funny. But it's interesting. But I will tell you this, I recently, and this is a really amazing thing, you brought this up, I just last week won my first acting award.
What?
Yeah, I'm out of my whole life, and I'm 61. Just took 61 years. That's all. Just staying there. And it was for a short done by a gentleman named Austin Rainey, and he sent me the script. It took place in 1950s, and it's sort of like an X-Files. And I loved the genre, and I'd never done anything. I've done period pieces. I love period pieces, but it was just kind of interesting that particular genre. And that piece he made had the meat to be considered for an award. So I think that for me, actually, as an actress, is I just like interesting and challenging characters. I was just offered a role to play a sheriff in something, and I was into it because it was something I'd never played before. So my desire is to what turns me on are the roles and the kind of roles they are. So who knows what will happen in the future? All I can tell you is I'm still acting, and I just love acting. I just love it. And it is so much fun. And I teach kids. I am an artist in residence at a school too. And I share my knowledge with my students. And, I just want to bring the next generation so much happiness from it, because it's a wonderful interest and occupation.
Yeah. Well, look, just in this time talking to you, I can tell your heart is massive, because I know you literally went back to school to get into that. I got your teaching credential.
Yep. I said to myself, I want to take my career and go full circle and bring it back. So I went back to school. I got my BA, got my credential. And so now I'm teaching. I teach like 900 kids a week. So I'm like, I'm one of the busiest people you've ever met. I mean, people can't even believe. They go, how do you do this? Like, I do conventions, I do movies, I teach. And it's very funny because the kids all know me as like their teacher, but then the parents are like, oh my gosh, it's Diane Franklin. She's they like flip out. So it's very, very fun. But I just keep, putting it out forward. So, what you do in life, see how you can bring it back to the next generation. It's as important.
People, are you inspired yet? I mean, I know this conversation is going to have me kicked up for at least a week.
You don't have to teach 900 people. Start with one and share good information and be a good role model. Help them. Even if you lived a hard life, well, gosh, that is valuable to hear to people younger. They need to hear, about, making good choices, all that kind of stuff. Anyway. And you can still have a kick-ass life and watch 80s movies. Bring yourself in an upbeat mood. You know?
My gosh. I've got a new bumper sticker. Have a kick-ass life. What do you think?
Yes, have a kick-ass life. I think that it's fantastic. Magnifique. But you are on your right track.
Well, I don't know. I'm just a dude from Santa Cruz. And,
Then you am triumphant.
That's my only dialect right there.
You're doing it. I killed it. We killed it together. That was great.
It's funny because I actually knew people that talk like that. And I wasn't one of them. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't one of them, but that's maybe why that's I am Ted of San Dimas stuck with me so deeply. I just so Diane, folks can find you at DianeFranklin.com.
Yes. Well, there you go, and you'll find some pictures. You'll find my two. Well, I guess I don't know, either 2 or 3. I think 3 of my books. Yeah, they might be on there.
Yes.
You can also follow me on Instagram at actress Diane Franklin. The actress comes first. You can also go to Twitter on Diane Franklin 80, no S. And on Facebook, go to official Diane Franklin fan site or fan club. It's the one that says official, and you'll see pictures of my books. Because my other Facebook, I have like literally thousands of people have tried to go on my Facebook, but they limited me at, limited me at 5,000. And now, so people don't leave. So you please go to the other site. That is me as well. And that's with my, my manager there. And so check that site out. I'm on that as well. And I would just, follow me, go on YouTube, check out, Diane Franklin on YouTube, just different things. And also just putting a heads up, my daughter her name is Olivia DeLaurentis. She's a comedian. And a lot of people think we look alike and we talk alike. So it's very funny. And you can check out her work. She works with her comedy partner too, whose name is Syd Heller. So they go by Syd and Olivia, SYD. And she has a show on Snapchat. They're called Apocalypse Goals. There's just too many things. So that's my daughter's career. And my son is a classical musician, and my husband wrote Fairly Odd Parents. Okay, so there you go. I'm done.
Yes.
I'm like, there's too many things going on.
By the way, one of my favorite cartoons, oh my God, my kids were of that era,
Fairly Odd Parents?
Oh. Yes.
My husband is Ray DeLaurentis. It's not Butch Hartman, but my husband, you'll see his name as a credit underneath. So, and my son is Nicholas DeLaurentis, if you want to listen to his music on Spotify as well. So there you go. My married name's DeLaurentis.
We're gonna put these links in the description. But that Fairly Odd Parents thing was Timmy and Dad were in the attic, and Timmy says, "Dad, what do you keep in that box?" "Oh, Timmy, that's where I keep all my hopes and dreams." And he says, "How long have you had that?" And the dad goes, "How old are you?"
Right. Oh, no. That's not. My cousin probably read that.
I was like, oh my God. No kids are going to get that, but I laughed out loud.
That was brilliant. Great. Perfect.
My hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
Perfect. That was a moment. So anyway, with that, you've been listening to Diane Franklin, and boy, oh boy, what a breath of fresh air. Like I said, you're going to power me for at least a week here.
Oh, thank you, Pat. And it was a pleasure being on the show. And thank you, audience, for listening to me just babble on. I really appreciate your interest. Thank you.
Oh, we could have went on for much longer. But like I said, I'm going to let you get on to your weekend. And thank you again, dear.
Au revoir. French fries, French bread, and Peru. All right?
Love it.
That is all.
Now I get to put myself back together again.
There you have it, another retro TV radio in the books. Be sure to check out DianeFranklin.com to keep up to date on all she's up to and take the opportunity to purchase an autographed copy of one or all three of her books. After hearing this interview, you just gotta know they are good. You'll find Diane's social media links listed in this episode's description. You'll also find the links to my social media community there as well. And speaking on behalf of Diane and myself, your show of support there is always appreciated. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this podcast and leave me a positive rating and review. I'm your host, Pat McCormack, and thanks for listening to Retro TV Radio.